Do you ever feel overwhelmed by your mistakes? Like you just keep doing the same thing and you're not getting anywhere. And so you start shutting down, or maybe you get angry and start losing your temper. Both of these things, whether it's shutting down or losing your temper, are about overwhelm, right? You're overwhelming the system and your body goes into these fight or flight modes. This is Kelly talking, and on this channel, I discuss childhood trauma and my recovery journey, hoping to connect with other survivors and strengthen our community. So I have been feeling pretty overwhelmed lately. I've not really been feeling myself, and I feel like I'm being a lot more reactive than usual or than I like to be. It can be difficult, and the more that I maybe believe the idea that I have some kind of a flaw where I'm never doing it right because I'm so reactive, the more that I kind of believe that, then the more reactive I become. I know people who experience it similarly, where they more though just shut down when they feel like they're doing things wrong. Say you have a tendency to be late for things and you feel bad about that, but this overwhelm is actually just causing you to be late more often and forget stuff that you need. Maybe they're all going on at the same time. Maybe you switch back and forth between shut down and freak out or whatever. I have some steps to try and help. This is advice for myself that I'm going to be taking, and maybe it will be helpful for others as well. The first step is, let me see in my notes. Okay, admit that focusing on these negative things is not helping you. So just thinking like, I have made this mistake, and believing that it is so monumental, like, I am damaging my relationships with other people and or hurting, people around me, or believing that, you're just so unreliable. These negative things that we might start like identifying with as part of our personality, and instead of just like a mistake, but you start thinking, this is me, I am like this, and you try to like onboard that identity, is really not helpful. And we want to do things that are helpful, right? So admit it's not helpful to be really hard on yourself, okay? Because it's leading to like shut down or lashing out. Number 2 is to have compassion for yourself while you're going through this. This is hard emotionally, psychologically, maybe even physically. You can even feel these emotional pains can be felt in your body. So have compassion and care for these parts of yourself that are hurting. Step 3 is think of something good, something that feels good to you. Maybe touch something, reach out to something as well, if you can think about it. I have made these little things that you can keep in your pocket, basically various pieces of stone. This is abalone shell that I found at the beach, and I really like this abalone shell. And then I have attached a little bit of alpaca fur that I have to it. And these can just be like little grounding things in your pocket that can remind you that there's joy in the world, that sometimes you do feel good, just like being at the beach or touching soft things. Beauty, I also picked a flower. I plan on keeping this with me today because, looking at a flower makes me feel really good. So get in touch with something that feels good. Now, this is different than toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is saying, like, I am just not going to acknowledge the bad stuff because that doesn't feel good and that's bad. And so it's going to trying to see the positive in everything in an effort to ignore the problem. Now, here, we're not just ignoring the problem. We are taking actions and making decisions in our mind and with our body that enables us to address the problem better. Because when we're overwhelmed by it, we're really not addressing it well, right? If we're just thinking terrible things about ourselves and getting ourselves down, then we're reacting probably in a worse way, right? We need to get out of this fight or flight mode. So different people have a lot of different types of grounding. I think that step number 3 is kind of a grounding thing to bring you back to the present moment, but I like doing it in the sense of like something that really makes me feel good and I find beautiful. So number 4 is to do something that you can be proud of. So now we're starting to get into actually acting, right? This can be really easy stuff, right? This step 4 should be easy. It can be taking out the trash. It can be texting someone who you love, just saying, I love you, I hope you're having a good day. Those reminders that we actually have a positive effect in the world, you know, that we affect things positively, we affect others positively as well. So that helps remind us, you know, it's not just the negatives that we have done that are difficult, that, you know, is what we identify with, but we're starting to identify with things that we have done that are good as well. So, you know, identifying with things that we think are beautiful and identifying with things that that you can be proud of. It might be, you know, one of these, like number 3 and 4 could be as simple as like drawing a flower. If, you know, you're just, say you're in class and or at work and you can't really get up and go do things, but maybe you can just draw something while you're sitting there that can bring you back to something beautiful. You can say, oh yeah, well, I'm drawing a flower. Maybe, you know, who cares? It doesn't have to be the best flower, but you have the ability to draw a flower. Like a lot of, you know, some people don't even have that ability. So if we have that ability, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool. And, you know, the fact that you're doing it and thinking about something positive. So step 5 is when you're able to kind of go back and actually assess the situation that was overwhelming. Kind of look at it and try to look at it more from a space where, you know, you're better off than just like putting yourself down and thinking you're terrible. But you can kind of look at it like, yeah, you know, that wasn't ideal. And, you know, assess like how much of that really was a big problem. Like maybe you didn't actually really do anything wrong, or maybe you did do something wrong that you need to change. But, you know, try to assess, was this event something that you know, really shows that, you know, you need to, you know, maybe change your behavior? Or was this event something where like you should maybe change who you're hanging out with? Or maybe you just need more sleep. You know, it could be a lot of different things. And at any point in these steps, you know, you may end up falling back into the overwhelm again, where you're shutting down or overreacting. And you can just keep going through any of these steps. Admit that focusing on these negative things is not helping you. Have compassion for yourself. Think of something that makes you feel good. Do something that helps you identify with, you know, goodness. And, you know, then you can go back and try to assess these situations again. I hope that helps. And if you have any ideas about, you know, how to help people get out of these moments of, overwhelm and, feeling really low and feeling bad about yourself, any advice, drop that in the comments. I'd love to hear what you do to try and help yourself when you're having a really hard time. And just to, remind yourself that you also do positive and affect people in positive ways.